Hello, Art 2 students. I thought we'd continue our nature drawings as I'm going to put a picture of many good examples of flowers, and I think we should focus on some shading techniques and gridding techniques to try to fill the page with your drawing. So I was going to show you how to grid a picture and work that way. What you might want to do is print off either in color or black and white. Black and white would work really well. Print off one of your favorite flowers that I'll post and work from that. You can print it and then just draw right on top of it. We're going to grid our flowers here. So I've got just a color photo, but you might have just copy paper, which is totally fine. So in order to grid, which means I'm going to draw lines on here, an exact pattern, and do the same on my paper so that I can fully copy it, just so it's a precise drawing. So I would do 1 inch sections. So you'll tick mark at each inch and use a ruler for this. And you'll tick mark again on each inch. So keep track of how many tick marks that you're going to use. And remember to keep that flat there. And you can draw right on top of a copied picture, totally fine, because we want the original of your drawing to be what you turn in. So I'm going to only do about 1 inch grid on this, so I've divided that out evenly. And then I need to do my other sections. This will help you, again, fill the space. Oop, I did what I don't like to do, make a line without making that straight. So go ahead and make sure that's nice and straight before you do anything. Now hopefully you have some paper and pens and pencils at your house. I will be working on getting some supplies to you, but in the meantime you'll have to make do. So here's my gridded picture. I'm going to do about inch grids. This one was another example that somebody did, but I think that's too many. That's probably a 1/2 inch, and that just gets a little bit confusing. So I'm going to work with just the inch grid. So say I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. I need 5 lines on that, or 6 boxes. So I have to, this is the size paper I'm working with. It's kind of small. You could use sketch paper, but it's going to be pretty small, so find some other paper that you could use. I'm going to move this. I like to keep a page under my Sharpie. So if I want 6 on here, I have to kind of divide that up. Okay, so I am using a ruler that was a little bit less shiny, and so I made 1.5 spaces here, and then I'm going to, so you want to grid it for the same amount of lines. Now keep these lines pretty light. I have to do them a little bit dark just so you can see them. Probably a 2H pencil would be best, so make sure you have a 2H. And then I needed 1, 2, 3 for this side. So dividing it out, I've got 6 inches, so that one's a bit easier every 2 inches. Oh wait, 3 lines, sorry. Still 1.5. Would probably work the best. You can have it there. So the important part is having the same amount of lines on your drawing than your picture. So you can see I have the same amount of lines on my picture and the same amount of lines for my drawing. So try to keep this so you can see it. So as I would work, you know, per square, and this will help with that drawing. So you could start in the middle, you could start in the sides, but I won't do a ton of detail yet. I might work with just the petals first, and I can use what I can see in my grid where the petals would lie. So there's my first petal. And you can see I'm pretty much staying within the parameters that I'm supposed to. So the contour lines of your flower are really important. You can make them look, you know, a little bit ripply because they are a petal, which is soft. And use those squares to tell you exactly where you're supposed to have your item. Because you could do this for any drawing that you want to map out where you want everything to go. I like free drawing, but this is a great way too to be more conscientious of where you want to draw. So there are the leaves. Okay. And then you could do your detail. So once you get your contour and you think, oh, that looks right. Oh, I might move this one over a little bit. I can see that square, it fills a little bit more. You can always adjust it. And then you can add your detail. Now we're going to be shading this, so don't think color unless you do one and then you do one in shading and then you do it in color. Oh, there's a space here. I did not leave enough space. There we go. Okay. All right, so I've got my flower mapped out. This one's a white flower, so it shouldn't be too hard to shade. You could do your 2H with that and then get a 2B. Now you'll want to erase the lines, so I'll work on that. Okay, so I erased the lines the best I could for now. And then I'm going to find my darkest areas. This is a white flower, so the purple is going to be the darkest. I don't want just outline the drawing, I want to shade it. So remember, a value scale goes from dark to light. So I'm going to work my darkest right now. And most of the darkness is along as the purple, but I need to extend it down. It could be a little bit lighter with my pressure. It can show the folds of the flower. Now here, the darkest part is the little stamens. The pistil, I think, is that middle one. We just did this in science with my son. So those would be my darkest areas. But if I wanted to show value in this flower, because it obviously gets darker as it goes in, I would still use that value to translate that yellow there. So I'd want that darker than the white and the purple there. And to make a petal look like it's curved, I will still need some value on it. the whole flower doesn't have to have value, but it needs to show that it has depth. So it's going inside that petal. And it kind of curves towards the middle, so it needs that. So you could take a blending stick or a tissue if you don't have any, or a Q-tip at home, and you could start blending that. Again, you don't have, if this is a white flower, so if you have a really light colored flower, you don't need a lot of value all over. You just need to make it look like it's changing up a little bit. This is lighter, the middle is lighter than the yellow, so I would leave that and kind of shade around that to make that stand out. I don't want to darken that middle part of the flower. I want to keep that nice and light. So I might just blend a little bit, but I don't really need a whole lot of value on it. And you can take a blending stick or a tissue paper and kind of spread that value around there. Okay, I put some of my value down on here, and then I was going to show you how to shade it a little bit more. So once I put that value down, or that pencil, then I can blend what I have with that blending stick or the tissue paper. And it's getting a little bit dark, but I'll notice with this flower it has some light areas in the middle, so I want to stay away from those light areas when I'm blending it. So it makes like the flower petal look like it's kind of curving. So then I'll go along each petal and really look at each petal and see what the flower is doing there and try to translate that into value. But every petal is going to be shaped a little bit different, and it's not all going to look the same. So spend some time with detail and getting it to look like each flower petal is different. So this one has a lighter area in the middle. This one had the lighter area at the top. So they're going to all be different. So, oh, and then I'll show you how dark, like each petal would be, you know, lighter, but then this leaf is going to be pretty dark because it's green. And so if I was translating that into value, I want it to look darker than the flower and smoother. Okay, and then if you ever think something's too dark, you can use just an irregular eraser, but hopefully you have some kneaded rubber at your house, the special eraser. You can always take out some of that value if you think it got too dark. This is a fun petal here. I'll do one more for you. So just the danger of having too dark of edges, don't do that. Kind of blend those in, have fun with detail. And if you feel confident with your shading skills with pencil, you could have the freedom to do this in colored pencil, but make sure that you understand how to shade with value before you do color pencil, because color is totally different than value. You can use it the same, but you have to understand value before you do color. So I'll just do that part and you can see how that looks.